guys, it is starting off sprayer season 2026. I'm checking this tractor, making sure all the fluids are good, and going to get this sprayer hooked up. And of course I've got to calibrate it. That's just how I am, because we all know things break in the shed over the winter, and we have had some crippling cold weather. So I would not be shocked if some of the things on the sprayer was busted from the freezing temps. I've already measured off a spot in the driveway, 204 feet, because I have 20-inch spacing on my nozzles on my sprayer, and pretty much just run that 3 times, time it while you're doing it, take the mean of those times, measure out what one nozzle is spraying, and that's your gallons per acre. All right, moment of truth, about to fire up the PTO, see if we can get some PSI going, and then we'll check for leaks. All right, we got PSI. And nothing's happening. I bet the solenoid has got some rust in it and is not wanting to cooperate. That's okay. We'll see if we can tap it. Hopefully we can tap it and don't have to disassemble it. Okay, we gave it a little tappy tap. Let's see what we can get here. We got nothing. We're gonna have to take that solenoid apart and clean the rust out of it. They're very simple, but they are a bit of a pain. Nah, that's a bummer. But that's why you do this before you actually need the sprayer, or it'll have your stress pushed. All right, trusty Harbor Freight screwdriver set. So this whole top cap comes off, and there's a magnet in there, and a lot of times it just gets rust in there, and unfortunately I didn't know that at first, and I have thrown these things away and bought new, and at the time they were like 80 bucks. I think they're over 100 now. And there's also a little O-ring in there when you take this apart. So if you have to do this, just be careful not to let that O-ring get away from you. So the O-ring stayed right there. You can see where it sits on this, and you can see that rust and crust, and that magnet should move freely. So I'm gonna get a rag and get some lubricant and get a little Scotch-Brite and see if I can get it cleaned up. And there's a spring behind here also, so don't let that get away from you either. I have done it all, needless to say. Kind of learned the hard way. That's really in there. And I have a few of these rebuilt, I guess, lubed back up. But if I can get this one to work and don't have to take my fittings apart and re-Teflon everything, that would be awesome. But if I can't get it, it's not like that's exactly hard either. There we go, it snapped loose. I just had to push it. I'll take that off for a second. So you can see all the rust that gets settled into there. And there's a little spring sits on the back. It's a very simple design. Just get this cleaned up. But it has sat since September probably, and this is February. It just needs that little bit of encouragement and it'll be back in action. A little spray. Right. Back in there. All right, you see that moves nice and easy now. Now if we can get it back in there without dumping the guts of it out. All right, let's see if we can get some water flow. PTO going, we got PSI, it's a good sign. Hitting the switch. All right, that's all it took. But truly, a sprayer will cause you the most stress in a rush. Looks like we're good now. We'll go check for leaks. Okay, so I've had to start writing everything down because my brain is no good anymore, and the speed that I do my bug spray at, that is too fast because the first thing I got to put out is Rezilon, and $10 to the ounce. You don't want to miss, and if you miss any places in the field, it's going to tell on you because you're going to have some crabgrass or something busting through. So I need to be going slow enough that I can make a good pattern and maintain that. So looks like I was doing B4, which was about 4.5 miles per hour, and that's great when you're just trying to kill bugs, but that's too fast. So that's what we're doing today too, is finding a new gear and a new speed, or maybe same gear and different PSI or RPMs. Same gear, different RPMs to adjust our speed some. Okay, first run was 36.12. See if we can get reset here. The hardest part is trying to hit this stopwatch on my phone because it's, if I had a manual stopwatch, you can hold it in your thumb and click it. This you're trying to just find a spot on a screen. All right, I got it started. So I'm in my original gear, which was B4, and I just toned it back to 1300 RPMs instead of 15, 16. And that's putting me right at 3.9 miles per hour, which feels manageable. Actually, it feels kind of slow, but I kind of goofed up last year just going too fast. I wasn't able to, like I said earlier, I wasn't able to correct my passes. 36.57. All right, that's my 3 passes. Actually took me 4 because I'm slow on my button over here. But if I remember correctly, 36.12, 36.57, and I got a 36.74. I've got them written down because, like I said, I don't trust my brain. But we'll add those together, divide by 3, whatever that time is. We'll collect water out of one nozzle at, get your sprayer up to RPM speed, just like you would normally be spraying, and whatever the ounces are from that nozzle, that equals gallons per acre. It's a real simple deal. It just takes a little bit of time, and it's well worth it because you don't want to goof up using a lot of these herbicides. And Okay, so I decided on 36.5 seconds. That was just a good round nominal number. And the first 2 ounces I got was 18, right at 18 each. So that was 18 gallons per acre. I try to get a measurement from 3 different nozzles because there could be some variation. And this is the last one, and we'll see what we got. And that looks, that's right at 18, maybe just a shade under 18. We'll call it 18. So I'll pack the sprayer full tomorrow because tonight's supposed to be 34 degrees. No risk of freezing, but you never can tell. I'll get as much water out of it as I can. And then tomorrow will be spray day. And hopefully all the little mishaps and breakdowns are done, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so a little bit of disappointing news. I knew we were going to be getting some rain this weekend, which was what I was anticipating and what I was happy for. It's what you need when putting out pre-emergent, but we're getting an inch of rain, so that's entirely too much. You're just going to lose your herbicides to leaching and runoff. So instead of spraying today, I'm going to be unhooking the sprayer today and getting everything put back up in case we get another freeze, and trying to get as much water out of these lines as I can and just wait for a better day. That's all we can do. That is farming in a nutshell. Oh God. That, can you see that pump just about to come out? And all I did was make my test runs yesterday. I have got to find a solution for this. I have cranked those things down just as tight as I can get them. Wow. Avoided catastrophe. Well, we're back to sunny weather. We got 1.3 inches of rain, so I am so glad I decided not to spray. This week's looking great. We just got to wait for the fields to dry up a little bit, which gave me a little bit of time to get some more keys for my coupler here for my sprayer pump. I don't know if that's going to be the fix. It might band-aid it for a little bit, but looking at the shaft on the pump, it looks pretty worn out, just to be honest. So I'm probably just going to be in the market of getting a new pump, but if this little guy can get us through this one little adventure of spraying, then that's all we can ask, honestly. I don't know how old this pump is. It came with the sprayer when I got the setup, so who knows how many acres this thing has on it, but it still works well. It just, that coupler will not stay on the shaft. So that was the old key. New one. This one's a little bit shorter. I don't think that's going to bother us too much. But to show you this shaft here, I don't know if you can see it, the light may not be great, but it's kind of gapped on the end. You would think you'd still have enough bite back here, but obviously not. Something is amiss, and it might be the coupler too. But it actually doesn't look terrible, but I'm sure it doesn't take much to make this stuff not work well together. Looks pretty good. Well, I don't know why I put that up. I just need it again. Those could probably benefit from a little bit of Loctite because they do wiggle and get loose. What are you doing? All right. We'll give that a go. So it's turning out to be a pretty good spray day. I've already gotten one field under my belt. I didn't do any recording with that because they're just so uptight, intense, wondering what's going to break, what's not going to go right. This I can tell you, the key that I put in the coupler for my pump, that was not the fix. That thing is still loose as a goose, so I'm just gonna have to break down and get a new pump, I do believe, because I don't think it's the key slot in the coupler. I think it's the key slot in the shaft. But I got it bungee corded fairly well, where I think it's gonna help hold it in place. If it wants to turn loose, it'll turn loose. I've tried a million different strapping ways, but anyways, just getting started here. And this is 6.5 acres. I've already done 4.5, and then I got the big section. I might get it done today. I may have to do it tomorrow. It's gonna be 14 acres, and that's it for us. We downsized a few years ago from 35 to 26 acres, and that's been a big help. All right guys, filling the tank up again. This is day number 2 of spraying. I don't know if I got any footage yesterday. My SD card decided it was done. It just clocked out and gave me a bunch of blank videos, so that was not ideal, but hey, it is what it is. We were getting pre-emergent herbicide out, and that's all that matters. Got 15 acres left to do today. It's crazy windy, so I'm gonna have to wait till later on this evening, maybe even tonight, to get this spraying done. I don't particularly care to spray at night because I have to keep my eye on that pump. Today is Wednesday. We're supposed to get rain on Saturday, so I don't want to miss that window. And if you're wondering about your own timing for putting out your pre-emergent, just keep in mind the plants that you're trying to prevent. So around here, mostly is knotroot foxtail and crabgrass. Now, knotroot foxtail is going to start to emerge the last week of March, first week or 2 of April. And we're in the Midlands of South Carolina, so it gets warm here pretty fast. And so if you kind of keep that timeline in mind, and then back that up 2 weeks, because the germination period is going to be 7 to 14 days prior to emergence. So you need to get that pre-emergent out before germination starts, and we start getting spring-like days, and that soil temp is going to pick up, and before you know it, we've got things germinating, and then we get emergence, and we're too late with our pre-emergent. So just a little food for thought. If you think you're putting it out too soon, you're probably not. You're probably right on time. And also, your pre-emergent is not active until it gets rain on it. So even though I'm getting this out today and got some out yesterday, it's not going to be active till probably Saturday. So just a few kind of key points to write down on your calendar, keep in mind while you're looking ahead to hopefully prevent some nasty plants from getting in your nice hay. All right, while we're waiting on this tank and the wind is blowing and we can't do anything else, I want to share a tidbit of information. I don't know if anybody tests their water. I never thought to. Went to a class for a continuing education credit for the herbicide license or pesticide license, and they're talking about the pH of your water. Never considered that, didn't know it was a factor. But your water needs to be slightly acidic. If you start getting alkaline water, your herbicides are not going to be as effective. So I bought these strips. Cool thing about this is they're from 0 to 14. You need a broad range, so they're a little more souped up, got a little more range than the average pool testing strip. Got me some water here. We're on county water, so I was really curious to see what that was like. So if you're having problems with your herbicides and you're not getting the effectiveness that you think you should be getting, it might be a water problem. So the range that you want is between 4 and 6.5. That seemed to be the pH range that most herbicides are their most effective at. So you just dunk the strip in here for 2 seconds. Most people are probably very savvy to this from having pools and jacuzzis and spas and whatever. And then you take your strip. It takes like 15 seconds for this thing to completely activate with its colors. Oops, I got mine upside down. So it's got the chart on the bottle, and I checked it yesterday, and it's still tracking today. I'm about a 5, so 5.0 on pH, so I'm right in that window, which is a blessing, thank goodness. But if you do have alkaline water, they make a water conditioner comes in a jug like everything else. Just pour it in your tank and you'll be good to go. We are rolling here. Thank goodness for the GPS, because as this field gets darker, you're just kind of lost. You're just staring at this screen, hoping for the best, hoping you remember your place in the field. Plus, I'm trying to watch this pump, make sure it doesn't slide off this shaft and lose PSI on me and just be out here riding and spraying nothing. I just got started about 30 minutes ago. Right at dark, the wind died down. It was perfect, so probably got another hour and a half to go at least, since I'm doing a little slower miles per hour to get good coverage here. Ended up being about 20 gallons to the acre, even though when I calibrated the sprayer it came out about 18, but a lot of that's just a little bit of overlap. So everything was going good right up until it wasn't. We were moving along. I got probably half the field sprayed, and then my GPS froze up. Just the screen just quit tracking me, froze up. My little icon wouldn't move anymore. So I can't see my tracks, so I can't even pretend to act like I know where my space is at. So I just folded up, gonna head home, finish it up in the morning. I was supposed to go to work in the morning. Thankfully, I got someone to cover my hours for me. And I'll try this again. I'll get out here about 7 o'clock in the morning because it's supposed to be windy again tomorrow. I'll just have to beat the wind. Oh, wow. This is just being a little tough, and so you just got to be a little tougher. All right, I was able to find my tracks from last night, and my GPS actually saved my job because I put it on pause. And tighten up this pump onto the shaft one more time and hopefully get this finish up. You can see how much that has slipped off of there. This thing is giving me the blues, but we can just hold on for a few more acres. All right, thank goodness that task is done. That ruins my nerves. That is the hardest herbicide to put out because it will tell on you. Every year I say, this is the year I'm not gonna have any streaks in my field. And every year I have streaks in my field. But as long as I do the best I can do, we just have so many rolling hills, you just kind of waver around, get off your mark, and that Rezilon will tell on you. I'll have little strips of crabgrass, but it's done. Thank you. Wait on the rain now. I'm gonna get this sprayer cleaned up, and I'll see you guys on the next go.